Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 61 of my knitting podcast, Unwind and Knit with Me. Welcome to any new viewers. I hope you like the content. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. To all of my existing viewers, thank you for coming back and welcome back. So, episode 61. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of September, and we are in spring, and we've had some stunning days and it's warming up. The mornings are still a bit cold, but yay, we're in spring. So I'm really excited about that. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram as Unwind and Knit, and also on Ravelry as Lisa NZ Knitter. I will try to get better with that, but there are quite a few of my projects on there. So that's Ravelry. Everything I talk about today in this episode, I leave quite detailed show notes down below, so you can refer to those. Any patterns that I talk about, or yarns, tutorials, or other podcasts, I will leave links below for all of those. Just looking at my notes here. I also have an online store, so unwindandknit.com. Please feel free to jump over and have a look at my online store. I also have a newsletter, and you can subscribe to that via my website. If you just scroll down towards the bottom, there will be a part where it says something along the lines of keep me informed of, it has something, I should know what it says, but you can actually just pop your email in there and subscribe. I don't spam your inbox. I probably only do a newsletter once a month. It's something I need to get a bit better at. But via email, you will be the first to hear about any specials or promotions and things new products or anything that's new. I will put up on my newsletter. So today, episode 61, I'll refer back to episode 60. I did say that we were going to do a giveaway for reaching, it's for 3 years and also for reaching 3,000 subscribers. And I wanted to wait until I got my latest mYak order, which has arrived. And the giveaway is going to be a mYak gift pack, which I will talk about a bit later on. On my podcast, I endeavour to come to you every 2 to 3 weeks. It's normally 3 weeks, although I have been getting in a bit of a roll with 2 weeks. I have been really engaged with my YouTube because I've been doing a lot of learnings in the background to try to produce better videos, better audio, better lighting. So I talked about that in my last podcast. So it enables me to do things a little bit better, and I'm actually finding that then the content is coming a little bit easier because of these new processes that I'm putting in place. So I do, on my podcast every 2 to 3 weeks, I will talk about what I'm wearing, current whips that I'm working on, new patterns that I've come across, new patterns that I want to cast on, any acquisitions that have come my way, any new yarns. So I try to keep you up to date with everything that's going on with me in my knitting life. Where are we up to? And I have also become paperless, which is why I apologise. I look down every now and then because I've got all my notes on my laptop, which is really quite exciting. Technology, you have to embrace it, right? Or as if you don't, you just get left behind. And some days it's really quite stressful, but once you've got the hang of it and everything's working well, it's really quite exciting. So let's get into a little bit of the content, what I'm wearing. I will insert a photograph. I haven't videoed myself wearing it, but what I'm wearing is the first frost cardigan. I featured this a few episodes ago. This was designed by a friend of mine, Elizabeth from Amikihia Knits. I have knitted this up in the Yarnadelic, which is a sports weight yarn. I will just stand up and show you a little bit. So it's laced down both sides, and it's also got that same lace pattern run down the center of the back, and also along the band here, you can see there has this really pretty lace pattern. I think originally the pattern was designed for a DK yarn. I got gauge using the recommended needle size using Yarnadelic, and when I showed this to Elizabeth, who designed it, she was really quite happy with it, and she said it actually looks like it should have been done in a sports weight yarn. I am I'm just going to see if I've got a photo. One moment. Okay, so I will just insert a wee photograph of this pattern. Like I said, I've knitted it up in Yarnadelic, which is a sports weight 5-ply yarn. Comes in around 20 colours. I find this yarn to be really versatile. It can be used for anything from a 4-ply even up to an 8-ply. Just do a gauge swatch, but it's a beautiful, versatile yarn. It is 100%. I want to say, yeah, 100% Falklands Corriedale. 100 grams will give you 333 meters. So that is what I'm wearing. First Frost by Amikihia Knits. Oh, my computer keeps wanting to go to sleep. It's just another problem that I have to work on. So what I'm going to go on to now is some of my current whips. I'm quite excited to bring you some of these. One of them's almost finished, but I showed you this in my last podcast, and it's the Suri tee by Caidree. Being black, it's probably not going to show up really well, but I'm going to try to show it to you. I have finished both the sleeves. You can see there is a 2x2 rib on the sleeve. I've picked up and knitted both the short sleeves, and I've also picked up and done the band around the top. I haven't done the bind off yet. So the bind off, I'll talk about in a moment. But you knit down the body and then you divide for a split hem, and once again it's a 2x2 rib. I will just insert an overlay here so you can see the pattern and the yarn that I have used. I have used the mYak Fior di Lino. mYak's a new range to me. 50 grams gives you 200 meters, so it's a 4-ply alfinger in weight yarn. It's 50% Tibetan cloud wool, 35% baby yak, and 15% Italian linen. And it is spun up in small artisan mills in Italy by mYak. All mYak yarns are ethically sourced and fair trade, which is really nice. There's a really nice story behind all of the mYak yarns. So if you haven't already, jump on and have a look at their website. I have done this on a 3mm needle. I think it called for a 2.75, but to get gauge, it's 26 stitches per 4" is the gauge. And so to get the gauge, I used a 3mm needle, which is a US 2.5. No, I've got that wrong. The pattern called for a 3mm needle, and I have used a 3.25 to get gauge. Yeah, so I went up a needle size. I also went up from a 2.5 to a 2.75 for the ribbing. This is a really well written pattern. I cannot fault it at all. It's a beautiful relaxing knit, especially once you divide for the sleeves, but it's just a matter of working the back and the front, doing some short rows, some increases for the neckline, and then you join it. You do a bit of shaping for the underarm, and then you join it, and you just knit down straight. So that's where I'm at now, and it's really relaxing, and I really love. It's just a project that I can do at night while I'm sitting there watching TV, watching the Winter Olympics. So what else can I tell you about this? The binds off. The pattern called for a 2x2 Italian bind off. I jumped onto YouTube and looked at a couple of tutorials, and found them quite daunting. I just thought, oh, I just don't want to do this bind off. So I kind of just sat with my sleeves on cords for a few days. And then I got back on and I've done another search, and I have found a bind off, and it's called the Invisible Sewn Bind Off for 2x2 rib in the round with a jogless join, meaning that when you get back to the end, you don't have a little step. It actually is quite invisible. This particular cast off, the tutorial is called an Invisible Sewn Bind Off for 2x2 rib in the round with a jogless join, and it's by Project Weekends. I'm going to leave the link to this tutorial down at the bottom of the show notes. There is a section where I've just under the heading of tutorials, I will leave the link. So it's still the actual bind off is still around, it's about 10 movements to cast off 4 stitches. But what she does is she actually writes it out for you, so you can actually just pause the video and write those 10 steps down. And then I found that really easy. I wrote every step down as she had written it. I watched her tutorial, which is only a few minutes. I watched it a couple of times, and then I sat there at a time when I knew I wasn't going to get interrupted, because I count each movement 1, 2, 3, 10. And so I like to do it at a time where I know I'm not going to get interrupted, because if you lose count, it's really hard to find sort of where you're at. So I think it was worth it. I toyed with the idea of just doing one of my simple bind offs, but the pattern is so beautiful, and this top is going to be so beautiful, and the yarn is so beautiful. I know it's going to be something that I'm going to wear a lot. I even think that I will dress this up. I think I could wear this. I've got a long satiny type black skirt that I wear out that I can dress up if we're going out for dinner or like for a special occasion. And I actually think that I can really dress this top up to wear out. So I don't think it's just going to be a jeans and sand shoe type, you know, nick down the shops kind of top. I think it's something that I'm going to really appreciate and wear out. And that's why I wanted to do a really good bind off. And the bind off, so the rib doesn't flare at all, it actually rolls over. And she talks about that in the tutorial. But yeah, if you need to do a 2x2 tubular, or what does she call it? If you need to do a sewn bind off or an Italian bind off, jump over and have a look at this. Links below. So yeah, that's about all. I'll grab just so you can see. That's I don't need to show you that because I've got it on the overlay that I will insert, or that I have already inserted. So you can see the yarn that I've done this in. It does come in 8 colours, and it's just beautiful to work with. It is really, really soft, and like I said, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a garment that I'm really going to cherish. So that's my first whip, and definitely will be an FO. I'll probably be wearing this on my next podcast because I've really just got, I'll tell you what, the pattern called for 5 balls. I've just started my 4th, and I'm actually thinking that I may get this out of 4. It depends how long I want to do it in the body. I won't skimp on it. If I think I need to break into that 5th ball, I will, because I don't want to finish it and it be too croppy and something that I'm not comfortable to wear. So yeah, 4 to 5 balls depending on your size. What size did I do? I didn't say either. It's a very size inclusive pattern. It has 9 sizes, and it goes from an extra small through to a 5XL. I think I've done the size 3. That should be written there somewhere. It's not. I'm pretty sure I did the size 3, but I did the calculations and it says 5 balls, but I'll let you know whether I do get it done in 4 or 5. My next whip, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I haven't actually worked on it, and it's the Adventitious by Olga Putano, and I cast this on the original pattern, which I will pop the overlay on for you to have a look at, Adventitious by Olga Putano. It was featured in one of the liner magazines, I think issue 13, but it's been done in the mYak baby yak. It's 100% baby yak, and this is it here. I have actually got a few new colors since I saw you last time, but it's a lace weight yarn, and I wanted to knit up something that was designed in this yarn, but I haven't done much since I saw you last. Actually, I haven't worked on it at all, and there's a reason for that. I have a new cast on that I've been working on. But yeah, so if you want to see or hear more about that, go back to episode 60. Yep, and I'll insert the photo now so you can have a look at it and the yarn that I have used. I am knitting it up on a 2.75mm needle, which is quite small. I think the only time I've used that size needle is for knitting socks or maybe bands, but it is knitting up beautifully. It is so soft, and I certainly want it finished for this spring. Okay. I do ask for your patience while I get used to this new format that I'm using, because normally what I would do is hold up the yarn and hold up the pattern, where now I'm actually inserting it as an overlay into the video, which is something I'm going to do after I've filmed as part of the editing process. So I just hope that I'm inserting it in the right spot. So if I sort of say, I'll have a look now and then I haven't inserted it until later, just bear with me, I'll get better. My next whip that I'm working on, and I will show you an overlay of that now, is the Oslo Hat by Petite Knits. This is the 3rd one that I've cast on. I showed you the last one as a finished object in my last podcast, but this time I'm actually doing the larger size. So my husband was very polite. He said, no, it fits. It's a little bit snug, but it fits. And I tried it on, and I think he's got a bigger head than me, and it's actually quite snug on me. So I thought, I absolutely love it. I'm going to keep it. But I wanted to straight away cast on another one for him, and I'm actually this time doing the larger size. So this pattern comes in 7 sizes. The reason I'm doing the largest is not because he's got a really big head, but I'm knitting at quite a tight gauge. So the actual pattern calls for a gauge of 23 stitches per 4 inch, where I'm actually on a 3mm, a 3mm needle, which is a US 2.5. My gauge is 28. So I really should go up a needle size or 2 to get gauge, but I actually really like the fabric. Now I showed you on the last completed one, but I will show you here. This is a lovely colour too. But you can see that stitch is quite a tight gauge, and I really like it, and I really like it in the finished project. So I'm okay with that. It just means that I have to cast on more stitches so I get a bigger beanie. But as you can see, I haven't done a lot. This is a yarn that I bought home from Canada. Did I write down the yarn? It's Sanders Yarn Co. Oh, that was silly. I didn't write down the yarn. But it is yarn that I have showed you before. when I got back from Canada. I showed it. But this weekend we're going away. So I don't talk a lot about my husband or my family, but if you've been following me for a long time, you'll know that my husband does long distance trail running, normally up in the mountains, and his preferred distance is 100-mile, which is 160 kilometers. And a lot of those events he can be out there for anywhere from 24 to 36 hours, depending on the course and the elevation and the climb and that type of thing. But this weekend we're going to an event, and I actually find it quite funny, and it's called a backyard event, and they just run around in circles, and there's only one winner, so it's like last man standing. But it's 6.7 kilometer loops, and they have to be back in what they call the corral, the start line, on the hour every hour. So depending on how long it takes you to do that loop depends how long you can sit and rest. So he anticipates that each loop's probably going to take him 50 minutes, and then as the day goes on and on and on, it may take 55, which means 5 minutes, they ring a bell on the hour, and then you have to be back there to go out again. So it's going to be a real funny event. It's going to be really different for me to crew, because I'm not used to seeing him every hour. Like normally he's out there for lots of hours. But this is the project that I'm going to take with me. It's just something that I can pick up and put down, pick up and put down. It's in a dark color, so I don't have to be too precious about, you know, a bit of dust on my hands or something, because we are going to be in a gazebo type setup. But that is all I'm taking with me this weekend. And it'll be 3 days, I think, that we're away. And so that's what I'll work on. So when my husband goes round in circles, crazy man. The other thing too, I go on about it all the time, but if you're going to knit a beanie, this is a 40 centimeter chiaoGoo fixed circular that comes in every size. Like I said, I'm using the 3mm, and it's so good for working a beanie. It's just going round and round and round and round. You don't have to worry about magic loop or DPNs. It's definitely what I recommend for beanies. You do have to change to DPNs to do the crown, but you know, it's only a very small part of the beanie. The whole rest of the beanie, I just use that one circular. Now, the reason I didn't get much done of my Adventitious is because I just had cast-on-itis. I just really had the urge to cast on something new. And for a couple of reasons. One is everything I'm knitting at the moment is on small needles and tight gauge. And I just had the urge to want to cast on something chunky, or, you know, like a 8-ply, 10-ply on bigger needles. And there was a pattern that I showed you in episode 60, a jersey that I was very close to casting on. But then I went up and I looked at my stash, which I need to do more often. And there's a project that has been on my radar for about 2 years. I've shown it to you before. I've talked about it before. And when I was in Canada, I bought the yarn for it. So that is what I've cast on. And it's the Felix Cardigan by Christoffers. And I'm going to insert the photograph of that cardigan right now. It's a very popular pattern, and on Ravelry, if you have a look, there's over 4,000 projects have been uploaded for that pattern. So it's a really popular pattern, and I'm really excited to be using a yarn that I bought specifically for the project. It is yarn that you can't buy here in New Zealand, but you can certainly jump on their website and have a look. But you would also be able to find a substitution. The pattern calls for a 10-ply worsted weight yarn at a 14 stitch gauge. So that's lovely and big and relaxed. So I'll tell you about the yarn I'm using. So when we were in Toronto, we got taken to the Knitting Loft. That's the name of the store, the Knitting Loft, and I I will leave a link if you do want to go and have a look at their online store. But it's a really big store in Toronto. It's actually over 2 levels. And we spent hours there. We must have been there for at least 2 hours, a big group of us. It's where I also met Selma there from Little Big Knits. It was a real buzz. But what I purchased, and I've only got the yarn that I've wound. So this is a Kid Silk Mohair, just normal what we get here, a 30-70, 70% mohair, 30% Kid Silk. 50 grams is 432 meters. And this is in the color, it's called Pink Chocolate. And I'll show it to you knitted up. It's not a cream, it's not a pink, it's just this really nice. I've got a light, which, so if I get too close, it's sort of throwing a bit of yellow, but you can see it there. It's just got pops of pink and a couple of pops of brown. So that's the Kid Silk Mohair. This is the yarn, and this is all under their own label. This is 100% Highland wool, and it's a sports weight yarn that I'm double stranded, and it's also in the colour Pink Chocolate. So they had this big range of yarns that all matched each other, specifically for double stranding, I imagine, but they're the same colour. They're lovely. But there's a surprise. With this, I've wanted this for ages and I haven't been able to find it in New Zealand, but it's a sparkle. There's a pop of sparkle, and this is actually a thread that's got sequins in it. Can you see that sparkle? It's got little gold sequins in it, and the sequences, you can see they're fairly well spaced on this fine thread. Now I'm holding the 3 together, and I bought these specifically for the Felix Cardigan, and I'll show you how it's knitting up. So you can see that there. So the shoulders, on both shoulders, there's this beautiful eyelet pattern, but your yarn overs that create the eyelet are also the yarn overs that create the increases. Now I have just finished, you start at the back and then you just put markers for your raglan, increases, and that's it there. You can't see too much, but I'm just at the stage. What I have to do now is put my sleeve stitches on hold, and then I'll be knitting the body. So this knitted up really quickly, which is what I want. It's what I needed, something just fast and relaxing. But I'm so happy with it. What I will say, with the sparkle, I am dropping it every second. So I'm doing a knit purl with sparkle, then I'm dropping it, and then I'm doing a knit purl without it. And I'm keeping going that way because I just felt there would be too much sparkle if I did it every row. And also, I don't think, let me see, so 50 grams is 270 meters, and I don't think I've got exactly the same meterages as I have for the wool and the mohair. So I am spacing it out so it goes a bit further. That sequence yarn, it wasn't cheap, it was quite expensive, and that's also why I'm trying to stretch it out to make it go a little bit further. But I'm super happy with this. This is going to be a beautiful summer cardigan. I am going to do it a little bit cropped. I don't want it as a long cardigan. I do want it a bit boxy. And the sparkle, I didn't say that. The sparkle's actually called Aloe Ray Sequincity. 50 grams to 70 meters, and the color that I'm using is called Sandcastle. And they do have a lot of colors at the Knitting Loft. I also bought a black one for a project that I want to do as more of an evening. I was thinking of doing it the ranunculus in black with the black sparkle as just a little bit of glam evening wear. but that's another project for another time. So that's my Felix cardigan. Super, super happy with it. I am doing the size 2. I don't want it too oversized. I do want it just sort of with not a lot of positive ease and a little bit boxy and cropped. So I worked on some measurements. I'm doing the size 2, and this is knitted up in a 6mm or a US 10 for the whole body, and a 5mm or a US 8 for the bands. So I'll tell you the other thing I'm doing. So in episode 60, I showed you the thread and maple binders where I've put all my needles, and I have added to that my chiaoGoo Forte set. And I never used these because they were in a different case, and they just got, well, they didn't get lost, but I always just went for my stainless steel. But now I've got them all in the same binder. I'm using them. I wouldn't use these if I was knitting a dark color. I think that's why I don't use them, because I do knit a lot of sort of darker colors. But when I was getting the needles for this project, yep, Forte, and also because it's a big long project, I'm not working in the rounds. I find the 5-inch fine. When I'm knitting in the rounds, I prefer the 4-inch, which are my other ones. But these are the chiaoGoo Forte 5-inch. It's gorgeous, isn't it? And I'm sure you can see, you can see the sparkle. And you can kind of see that it's every sort of 4th row, 3rd and 4th. It's not every row. And see, it's called pink chocolate. So you can see also those sections of brown. It's just a really pale brown. Really, really happy. Really want to get that finished for this spring. Okay, so they're my whips. My beanie, which I haven't done much on. My Adventitious, which I haven't done much on. My Suri tee, which is nearly finished. It's nearly an FO. Can't wait to wear it. Adventitious, and the Felix cardigan. They do say the Felix cardigan, so it's a cropped top-down raglan cardigan with eyelet moffets incorporated into the raglan increases. It was designed to be the perfect sweater to wear layered over tunics or dresses, high-waisted pants as well. She does suggest, as I always suggest, putting it on cables or waste yarn and trying it on before you cast off. The pattern's really straightforward. I have found the pattern really easy. So I think, you know, a beginner or an advanced beginner could do the Felix cardigan. What I will say, I haven't mentioned it for a while, but I think it's good to remind ourselves. So when the perfect thing about knitting top down in the round is we can get to a point where we put it on cords, as I've done here, and we can try it on. And I used to make the mistake in my early days of knitting top down in the rounds is I'd look in the mirror and I'd look and I went, oh, it's perfect. I love it. And I would take it off and I would put it back on my needles and I would do the rib and bind off. And I did quite a few projects that when I finished them, they ended up being too short for me. I was quite disappointed. So what I do now is when I try something on, I actually sit down in it, I stand up in it, I lift my arms, I move a lot in it. And then that gives you a bit of a better gauge of whether the length is good. And I find quite often, if I just stand straight in front of the mirror, I think it's fine. But move in it and use it like you would, like sit down, stand up, and then decide whether it's long enough or whether you need to add a little bit more. I'm going to pause because I want to put something else on my mannequin. I've got something, some new yarn to talk to you about and a project that I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to pause for a moment and do a costume change on Dolly. Now that I've got my Suri shirt off the mannequin, I just wanted to show you, because I think that's showing up, that's it there, the yarn is showing up a lot nicer. So that's the Fior di Lino with the 15% linen, 35% baby yak, and 50% wool. And you can see that real sort of heathered look, and that's the linen popping out. You can see that band a lot better for the sleeve, and the neckband I've done, but I had to have a rest from that bind off. So I have just put the neckline, it's finished. I don't have to add any more length, but I do just have to bind that off. But you can see it there. I'm stoked with it. I can't speak highly enough of this yarn, especially for summer knits. It's just beautiful. Okay, so this next project, on a Monday I meet with a small group of ladies, and we've knitted together for quite a few years now. I really encourage knit groups if you've got one that you can go to. They're really good for sharing ideas, but also to get inspiration. I get a lot of inspiration from my small knit group, as I'm sure they do get inspiration from me. So a friend of mine, Karen, she knitted this. I can't take the credit for this, and it's actually not quite finished. And I saw it on Monday, and we're talking about mohair, and what she has done here is she's gone through her stash, and she had all this silk mohair that she didn't know what to do with. So she had knitted a pattern called the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knits, which is what this pattern is. And I'm going to insert that right now so you can see the actual pattern. So with this pattern, the Cloud Blouse, you double strand mohair for the whole garment. So it's just 2 strands of kid silk mohair. It's knitted on a 4mm needle with a 20 stitch gauge. It's designed to be worn with quite a bit of positive ease. It's a top down in the round construction with dropped shoulders, and it has a mock turtleneck. Now this is created by doing a few rows of 1x1 rib and then a few rows of just knit, and it rolls over. It has a slight rollover, and it's a beautiful relaxed sort of sweatshirt feel. I love it. And it's the same with the cuffs on the sleeve. So Karen did this in one colour, like the one with the pattern that you just saw, and she loved it. And so then she was inspired to go through her stash and get all of her bits that she's had, just single balls of single colours, and she's produced this. And she's going to leave it as a short sleeve. She's just going to do a small rib to finish the sleeve off. She still has to pick up to do the mock neck, and she's done a couple of rows of the band. Let's see there. And she has ran out of this colour, so she's going to select another colour that she's got enough just to finish off the band. Karen's actually done the size 3, which is a small. This pattern is very size inclusive, as are I think all of Petite Knit patterns. So it goes from an XX, an extra small, up to a 5XL. So very size inclusive. It's designed to be worn boxy. I think I said that. And the yarn requirements, you would need 9 to 10 balls if they were 25 gram, 200 meter balls. So if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I've had on special my Nurturing Fibres mohair. And this is 50 grams, and there's actually 400 meters on these. Now, I still have a couple left, not really a sweater quantity, maybe a sweater quantity of that colour, which is called conch shell. But there's some of the colours that I've got left, and one each of these, you could produce something like that. These were $40 and they're down to, I think it's $32.50, 32, 20% off. So they're under Nurturing Fibres Kid Silk Mohair if you want to get in any more of those, but there's not many left. But I was going to segue into a new range of mohair that I've got, but I think I might leave that to the end, to the shop update. So, but I really wanted to share this with you. Like I said, I can't take the credit for it, but it's a really good example of what you can do with leftovers or just single skeins that you might have of kid silk mohair. And like she said, she didn't follow. She said, I just grabbed out what I got, laid them in a row and thought, yep, that'll work. And she's done an amazing job. I just think these colours look stunning. Really nice. I think a couple of those are my colours. I think that might have been mine. The pink might have been mine. And I think this taupey colour, I think that's the one called Luna. And some of the others are, I can't remember, quite a popular brand of kid silk mohair that's in most yarn stores. But with a ball, this is my new range, but I'll talk about this later. So what you would do is you would take from the outs and then you would take one from the middle and you would just knit the two together. So you don't need two balls of each colour, you just need the one and take from the middle and the outer to get that, and that's what Karen's done there. So that's the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit. As you saw in the pattern, it's a long sleeve. Karen's first one was long sleeve, but this one's going to be a short sleeve for summer. I knitted, probably a couple of years ago, it was a petite knit pattern and it was mohair. Anyway, it had a deep V, it was a vest and it had quite a deep V neck on it. And I did it in like a silver grey and it was beautiful. I loved it, but I actually didn't like the colour on me. But my daughter claimed it and she wears it all the time with nothing under it, just as a deep V-neck t-shirt. And she says she gets compliments all the time and she has friends say to her, where did you get that? And she says, my mum knitted it, so, which is really quite cool. But when I see that on her, it also inspires me to want to do another one as a summer, because this is, you know, it's mohair, but it's loose with a lot of positive ease. It's really, believe it or not, quite easy to wear as a t-shirt in the summer or in spring and autumn. So yeah, don't be afraid of mohair. And it's not scratchy or itchy. It's so soft. It's literally, like the name says, cloud. It's just like a soft fluffy cloud. It's just stunning. I want to share with you too, because I'm really I'm just so stoked. My daughter has been studying nursing and she's all finished and she's now a real registered nurse, and she started her job on Monday. So she sent me through a photo, and the unit that she's working on at Christchurch Hospital, they wear scrubs, and she sent me a photo of her in scrubs, and it was like, wow, like you're really a real nurse now. So it's been just such a privilege watching her. She has worked really hard. She studied really hard. I watched her get through with A pluses. I think her lowest mark was a B minus. But yeah, super proud and just so stoked for her now to be. She says, like, Mum, I'm actually a real nurse now and I'm actually getting paid, which is even more exciting. The bank and Mum and Dad has helped her out there. So it's so nice when they just finally, she's got it. It's really good. Okay, I am going to talk about what I want to cast on. I'll talk about the giveaway. That's what I'll talk about. And then I'll go on to new patterns and new cast-ons. So I bought one of these for myself, but I asked mYak, I said I wanted to give it as do it as a giveaway, and they've kindly donated this, and it's in the most beautiful box. Isn't that stunning? It's got their logo on it here. but this beautiful box, and in it is the new range that I've just got in, which is the mYak Kupa. Now this is 50% baby yak, 50% organic cotton, and I will talk more about this because it's in a pattern that I want to show you. But they have sent me this sampler box. These are full skeins. This is how they come. They are 50 gram, 25 grams, and you get 116 meters. So rather than being 25 gram or small balls, they're actually 5 skeins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think they're all the colours I have. There's 6 colours there. This will make a beautiful summer t-shirt in stripes, and it comes in this beautiful box. So that is my giveaway to celebrate my 3 years and my 3,000 subscribers. I'm 3,300 now, or 3,330, all the threes. And what I want to do with this giveaway, I normally do it through YouTube, but what I decided to do, I know I have a lot of followers that watch me, but they don't like to do social media. They don't do Instagram or Facebook. They only follow me on YouTube. And I do often get messages saying, I don't do Facebook, you know, I don't do Instagram. So what I've decided to do is to do this giveaway, and I will do a random selection from the list of everyone that subscribes to my email. So to do that, you have to jump onto my website and go down and subscribe to the email. Rest assured, there's no chance of being spammed or scammed, or I don't give away my mailing list or anything like that. It's really, really above board. But that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it via my website, via my subscribing to my emails. So I'll leave the details in the links below, but you just have to go to unwindandknit.com, scroll down towards the bottom, and there'll be a part where you subscribe to emails. And the day before my next podcast, which I'm hoping 2 weeks, about 2 to 3 weeks, the day before, I will put the random generator across that list, and I'll select a winner, and I'll send that out to wherever you may be. I think it's a beautiful gift. I think there's a lot of t-shirts. You could even do the one I'm doing, the Suri shirt in that yarn, and you could stripe it. Depending on the size, you may need to add another 1 or 2 balls to it, or skeins. But anyway, did that. So that yarn, which is why I wanted to it's a segue into the next thing I want to cast on. I talked about it in my last podcast. Super excited about this pattern. And I'm excited about it because it's actually been done in this yarn. It's actually been designed specifically in the mYak Kupa. I have sold a bit of that already, so I think there's a couple of you out there that are already casting on this next pattern. And it's the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter. Now, I like Caitlin Hunter patterns. I've done a few of hers. She also goes under the name of Boyland Knits, I think it is. But anyway, Caitlin Hunter, I'm going to show you an image of that right now, and you can have a look. So the yarn is Kupa, which is 50% baby yak and 50% organic cotton. She's chosen this yarn because it's extremely drapey, perfect for summer light lacy tees like the Stromboli. And just for a bit of trivia, Stromboli is an island near Sicily, and it's the home of an active volcano called Mount Stromboli. So the yarn, like I said, 25 grams gives you 116 meters. It's a light finger in weight. Yep, and it's the blend of cotton and baby yak. So the pattern gauge is 22 stitches over 4 inches on a 3.25 mil or a 3 US needle. The measurements for this pattern has a 30 centimeter positive ease. So it's designed to be really quite loose and boxy. But if you jump onto Ravelry and have a look at some of the other people's projects, I did see there are a lot of people that have done it quite fitted. So you don't have to do it boxy. There is a stitch in this pattern called a knot stitch, which is something that I'll have to look for the video tutorials. But she does say, I'll just tell you, it's knit from the bottom up in the round, then it's separated for the back and front, which are worked flat. Then after joining the shoulders, sleeves are picked up and worked in the rounds. Then stitches are worked for the collar. Yeah. So that's the Stromboli by Caitlin Hunter, and super happy to tell you now that I actually have the yarn for it. So if you're tempted, jump over to the website and have a look. You just have to type in mYak and it'll bring up, I think I have 4 of their yarns, but this one's called Kupa, Kupa. So that is the next thing I want to cast on. But through delving into Ravelry and wasting many hours in one day, it's such a time waster. You can just jump on there and be on there for ages. But I have found some new patterns that excite me, that I really like, that I really want to share with you, because I may give you some inspiration for a new cast on. So I'm just going to get a drink and I'm going to come back with the new patterns. Okay, this first pattern that I want to share with you, I'm pretty sure I come across it on Instagram, and in the morning after I've had my breakfast and my cup of coffee, I do Wordle, and then I often jump on Instagram only for a few minutes and I scroll through, and every now and then a pattern will jump out that I just love the look of, so then I jump over to Ravelry and have a closer look. But this pattern is called the Early Bloomer, and it's by Heidi Kirrmaier. Hope I'm saying that right. And I'm going to insert a photo of it right now for you to have a look at. So this pattern's been done in a DK or 8-ply yarn. It's a 22 stitch gauge, and it's 2 color stranded color work with short sleeves. I share with you quite often that I love short sleeve jerseys because I wear them in the spring and autumn, but I do also wear them in the winter over a base layer, like a merino base layer. So it's not because they're less knitting, but that is an advantage because you're not having to knit the sleeves. But I do love these short sleeve knits. So the Early Bloomer, it's knitted from the top down in the round, which I love. Yoke construction, short rows, crew neck. It can easily be adjusted length for a crop or a longer version of it. It's very size inclusive, and it has been designed to be worn with positive ease. There is a schematic diagram provided, showing you finished measurements to help you choose the right size to knit. Now, the yarn that I would do this in, or I would recommend for this pattern, is my Knit by Numbers, which comes out of the John Arbon Textile Mill in the UK, which is a DK, and it's a 50% merino and 50% blue face Leicester. So this yarn I can wear close to skin with just a bra on under it, and so that's what you want. Because it's a summer knit, you want a soft yarn that you know that you can wear close to your skin. So that's about everything I've got to tell you about the pattern. You saw it, it's just lovely. Jump onto Ravelry and have a look. Early Bloomer. But I picked out a couple of colour combinations that kind of really spoke to me for a summer knit. I love these two. And I would do this as my main, and I would do my colour work in the undyed. But that one there is number 22. So I think that's a fabulous combination. But I also really liked this combination. So this is number 115. It's, like you can see, it's a lot sort of deeper than the undyed. And that orange is number 14. And I just think that would be stunning. But the other one, I would love to do a black and white one. I'd love to do a black one with a white colour work. And I just think that that would be a really nice, simple pattern. If you like, I love my black. So if you like me and you love black, I think you could do a black and white. But I've actually got over 40 colours in this range. So that's, yeah, that pattern kind of is speaking to me. So I hope you like that pattern. So the next pattern, I'm just going to grab my yarn. So when I was in Canada, we were in Quebec City, and I went to a yarn store there, and I bought this yarn, and it's Julie Esselin. And I'm pretty sure, I want to say she's Canadian. If she's not Canadian, she's American, but she was actually at the Knit City, and I saw the yarn there, but I didn't buy it. But then a week later, when we're going through Quebec, I saw it again and kind of figured I was just meant to have it. And these are the two colours I got. Now, this is 50% merino, 10% silk. It's a sports weight. No, it's a fingering weight. 115 grams is 385 meters. I probably would say sports weight. These are the two colors. This one is called Purple Carrot. I hope it's showing up there, but it's a deep purple. These colors are sort of out of my comfort zone, but they just spoke to me. And this one's called Olga. But it's a really deep purple and a really nice apple. And I bought 2 skeins of each. And what I had in mind was a colour work, a 2-colour colour work, but colour work that went all the way down. I have 2 skeins of each, so I'm really hoping I've got enough. But I've had to do a bit of searching, and it's taken me a little while to find the pattern that I love. And the pattern I've come across is called Renaissance, and it's by Eleanor Mortensen. And I'm going to insert a picture of it here for you to have a look at. It's a top-down in the round stranded colour work, written and charted instructions. It's been designed on a 4-ply yarn with a 25 stitch gauge on a 3.5 mil, which is a US 4 needle. Okay, so my plan is to wind this yarn off before my next podcast, and actually I will do a swatch. And I love them together. I bought them because I wanted them to be together, but I do want to do a swatch. And that's the pattern. Now that pattern calls for 2 colors, but while I was doing this search, Eleanor Mortensen, I don't know much about her. I haven't done any of her patterns before, but I come across another pattern which is very, very similar, but it actually calls for 3 colors. And it was the initial pattern that I looked at and thought, that's the pattern that I'm going to do. But as I read into it, I thought, you actually need 3 colors. And I looked at some projects, and I think you could do it in 2. I'm not too sure, so I'm a little bit torn between the 2 patterns, but I'm going to show it to you because, like I said, the construction, everything is almost exactly the same, except for there's a couple of panels of the colour work where it calls for a 3rd colour. But I also, by looking at other people's projects, I think quite a few people have done it in spin cycle, where they've just done 1 colour plus the main, but there is a shift. So if you're on Ravelry and you want to have a look at it, I'll insert the picture now. Secret Garden, also by Eleanor Mortensen. But yeah, that was the only difference I could see between the two patterns, was Renaissance is 2 colours where Secret Garden is 3. I love the all over colour work. I love how it comes right down the body and also right down the sleeve. And yeah, I hope you like it. Jump over and have a look, and hopefully I've inspired you if you are tempted to do a bit of colour work. I also saw quite a few projects where they have finished, so the colour work comes quite a way down, and then they've finished the sleeve there, so it's almost like a long short sleeve or a 3/4 sleeve. So that is it is an option in case I run a little bit short. The other problem I've got is I'm not sure which colour I want as the main and which I want as the contrast colour. So that's also why I want to do a swatch. I often can't wear yellow or yellow based colours, so I'm thinking the dark colour closer to my face, and then that is the colour work. Not sure. I'll let you know after I swatch. So that's those 2 patterns that I wanted to share with you. The next pattern, now this is quite a funny pattern, because when I looked at it's a Caitlin Hunter pattern, and I thought it was really similar to the Stromboli, but it's actually not, because the Stromboli has a lot of positive ease and it's designed to be worn quite oversized and boxy. But I found this pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and it's called the Salwood Tee, and I'm going to insert a picture of it now. This pattern has been knitted up using a 5-ply sports weight yarn, which of course is my Yarnadelic. So Yarnadelic is a beautiful 5-ply sports weight yarn, but it's also softer skin, so perfect for a summer, sort of a summer t-shirt that generally you would wear without anything under it. So it calls for about 3 skeins for most sizes. It's done on a 4mm needle and a 3.5 for the ribbing. It's knitted from the bottom up in the round, then separated for the upper back and front, which are worked flat. The shoulders are joined, then stitches are picked up for the armhole, the cuffs and the neckline. She does say that it features an easy to memorize stitch pattern and is a lovely meditative pattern to work on. So, and I think what she means by that it would be really small pattern repeat if she says it's really easy and relaxed, easy to remember. And Caitlin does also say in that pattern that the yarn she has used, she's described it as a bouncy sports weight, and that's exactly how I would describe Yarnadelic, as a bouncy sports weight, but still close to skin soft. So that was the Salwood Tee. It's a lot of patterns. Okay, so this next pattern, I need to grab a ball. That's what I wanted, a ball of this. Now, I'll tell you my story or my reasoning behind this pattern. I've talked about the mYak Cashmere lace weight. So I think 50 grams is 350 meters, so it's a lace weight. I've got 6 or 8 colors, I can't remember. Such a cute label. I love their labels. But I've decided I want something in cashmere. I've never had anything in cashmere, never knitted. I have talked about, you know, the Sophie scarf and those little single projects that you can do out of a single skein or a single ball. But I've decided I've got like some skirts that I wear out of an evening, like if we go out for dinner or somewhere a bit more formal. And I've decided I want a cashmere top to wear with this skirt. Then I can just wear a jacket or something over and I can dress it up. So this is not something I'm just going to knock around in on the weekends. It's going to be something special, but also I know it's quite the investment. So it's not for everybody. But I went searching for a top, sort of a basic. It doesn't need to be busy or lacy, but just a nice top done in cashmere. And I actually found one, but I took it to Knit Group and I showed one of my friends and we talked about it. And it was actually, it buttoned up. It was just a small 3/4 sleeve, very classic buttoned up top with button bands. And she felt that cashmere doesn't have the memory that wool has. So therefore it may kind of go out of shape a little bit. So she sort of said if it was her and she was going to invest that sort of money, she wouldn't do something that buttoned up. So I thought, okay, I'm going to back to the drawing board. And I did a few searches, but not much come up using cashmere and sort of for what I wanted. But I did find one. And I want to share it with you because I think it's perfect and it's actually stunning. It's what I want to use my cashmere for. I want it to be stunning and I want it to be something that I can dress up. I can put on, you know, some pearls and earrings and glam when the very odd occasion that we get to dress up, glam and go out. So this pattern, and I've got to say, I struggle a little bit with the name. So it's called the Parvo blouse. Now in New Zealand and Australia, Parvo is a very, very nasty virus or disease that dogs can get and it kills them. And it's really, really nasty. And quite often they'll say when you get a new puppy, you can't take it out until they've had all their 12-week shots because Parvo lives in the ground, in the soil. So I struggle a little bit with the name of this top because I know a bit about Parvo. And I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right, Pavo. And it's by, and I know I'm going to get this wrong, Yarnadelic, which is an Asian designer. And I'm going to insert the photo now so you can have a look at. Now this top she describes as elegant and sophistication, an elegant and a sophisticated blouse designed to bring out the inner peacock. The intricate lace pattern, inspired by a peacock's eyes, graces the yoke, the hem, and the sleeves. Now that's what really appealed to me, was that lace work that's on the cuff and the hem as well as the yoke, creating a stunning visual effect. It's a seamless top-down design. So it allows you to adjust the length accordingly. She does say that it's designed, it's a blouse, versatile in style. Its adjustable length makes it ideal for warmer weather, allowing you to create a garment. And I'm not liking my notes there. A garment that's breezy and light as you desire. And that's the pattern. I'm pretty sure that's the pattern. So it's got that beautiful lace work around the top. It's got a little bit of detail on the sleeve and the bottom hem. And I initially thought it's cashmere. I don't need it to be busy because the yarn is what it's all about. But I think this pattern just encapsulates both things, the glam, the lacy, the elegant style, sophisticated style, that deserves cashmere, a beautiful yarn. So that's what I want to do, and I'm super excited. It calls for a 24 stitch gauge using a 3.5mm needle, so I will swatch. So you really could use any fingering weight yarn. So if you don't want to do cashmere, but you really like that pattern, go on and have a look at it, because you could use any light fingering weight yarn. You could use the mYak lace, which would also give you a very glamorous drapey summer summer top. Yeah, I think that's all my notes that I've written down on it. So, I mean, I haven't, me being me, I want to do, it's not black. What do they call this color? It's like a graphite. I can't even find it on the band. Doesn't matter. Jump on the website and have a look. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 8 colors. And I did, since my last podcast, I did get some bright colors. I'm not sure if I showed that to you in the last podcast. I don't think I had these on my last podcast. Maybe I've got them further down to show you as show notes. But my initial order, I had sort of some of the darker, moody sort of colors, and a couple of people did ask for some of the brights. I haven't got the pink, but I have got some bright colors now in that cashmere. Put that down there. So that was the last pattern that I had to share with you. And I don't know where I'm going to fit that into my knitting schedule or my knitting life. But for me, it's just got a real point of difference. It's something that I want to have in my wardrobe for evening wear for. And I'm sort of thinking, I know it's September, but I'm thinking towards the end of the year, we often have dinners and work socials that we have to go to. And quite often they can be an occasion that you get to dress up. I also have my daughter's graduation, although I'm not going to get it knitted by then. And that's quite formal, and there'll be photos taken. And but yeah, towards the end of the year, for me anyway, is generally when I would get to wear something a little bit more dressy. I did want to say too, if you're on Instagram, I thought what I would do is each episode just start sharing with you some of the Instagrammers that I follow, because I get a lot of inspiration from Instagram. So if you're not already, mYak Fibers is a really nice one to follow, because she does feature patterns that are suitable for her yarn. What I will tell you as well, I don't know a lot. This is really, really new news. But mYak Fibers has just brought out a yarn called Fiber Gentili. Now, it's not coming under the brand mYak because it's not sourced from Tibet. It's actually yarn. It's Italian wool from different regions in Italy, but it's super, super soft, and it's being spun to their requirements. It's supporting local farmers. It's got the good story behind it that mYak does have, but this Fiber Gentile is going to have its own label, and it has its own Instagram page. So I will leave the link below for both of those if you're after someone new to follow on Instagram. And I'll endeavour to add a couple with each episode. And there's also 2 podcasts that I have watched, knitting podcasts, excuse me. I have a really dry mouth when I talk a lot. 2 knitting podcasts that I have enjoyed watching lately. And knitting podcasts are interesting, aren't they? Because I know even for myself, there's podcasts that I love and I watch and I binge watch. And then I might go off them and go and find someone new. And I'm sure people do that with me. Like, I know I've got followers that watch everyone, but there's some that you like more than others. And I find that sometimes I think, oh, I just need to find a fresh podcast. So one that I've really enjoyed watching is Beth McDonald Stone. She lives in Bermuda, but she spends a lot of her vacation in New York. And she's actually a knitwear designer. She actually designs patterns. But I like her style and her presentation. I just really like. So I'll leave the link below for that. It's Beth McDonald Stone. And the other one is Tash from Sydney, Australia, and she's called Mostly Knitting. And I mean, Australia's our neighbour. It's not far away, so I think it's quite nice to follow and, you know, to support Australians, because I know there's a lot of Australians that support me. So that's Tash from Mostly Making. And there's a few more that I haven't mentioned today because I know I've mentioned them in the past, but I will continue just to remind you every now and then of a couple that I've been watching. Okay, how are we going for time? I am going to do a shop update. It's not a lot, but I'll mention it anyway. So I hope you stayed with me this long. If you don't want to hear my shop update and you want to go now, to be in the entry to win that mYak pack, remember to jump on and subscribe to my email. And if you want to leave me now because you don't want to be, you don't want to hear the shop update, thank you very much for staying with me this long. As I always say, there's so many knitting podcasts out there. So if you've chosen to spend your time with me, really, really appreciate it. As always, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe, give it the thumbs up, the like, share it with your friends. All of that helps me with algorithms and internet stuff. It just, it's how my podcast gets recognized. So thank you. Okay. So for those that want to hang around for the shop update, I have new Kid Silk Mohair. So the mohair that I've been stocking that I have had on special, I absolutely love it. But what I have learned, I was bringing that in from South Africa at quite a large cost given freight. But what I have learned is that most of the world's silk mohair actually does come from South Africa. But there was a company in Australia doing a brand, and I'm guessing they bring it in from overseas, but I'm guessing they probably bring it in a container. So the freight is cheaper for them, but then it's also a lot cheaper for me to get it from Australia than it is to get it from South Africa. So the brand is called Kremke Soul Wool, Silky Kid. And I'm pretty sure it's the same. It actually varies a little bit. Okay, I didn't write it there. I need to put my glasses on. Don't you hate that? So this one's actually 72% mohair and 28% silk. 25 grams is 210 meters. So I have, I think it's 12 colors. I'm actually just going to pick up the basket and show you because I've popped them into there because I'll stay there. So maybe not. I've started with 11 or 12 colors. There were a few more colors that I wanted, like the white, the ivory and the cream, and there was a denim blue. There was probably about another half a dozen colors that I wanted, but they were out of stock. So she's going to notify me as they come back into stock. So I will keep adding to this range. But on my website, they're under Kid Silk Mohair or Kremke. I'll leave the link below if you want to go on and have a look. But they'd be perfect for this. Absolutely perfect. If you decide you want to do something like this and you're not sure on the colours, flick me a message and I'll lay the colours out. I do this often for customers. I put them onto a white sheet and I photograph them and just send them through to you on a text so you can see what they look like together. The other hint with that is just pop them into your shopping cart from my website. And often I find myself when I've bought things that involve colour, you can see them in your cart and that gives you a good idea of how they look together. But I'm always happy to photograph any colour combinations and send them to you. Yeah, just be mindful. Just remember too, if you are after some mohair, I do still have some of the 400 metre skeins in stock and I will wind them into cakes for you. So the last of that will arrive to you already caked up. And I'm doing that because they're a real pain to wind, but I do have a bigger Swift and an electric ball winder that I can do that for you. The other thing I've ordered from Australia, and once again, there's a lot of colours that were out of stock, so I've only got 2 and I will keep adding more colours, but it's sparkle. Now, I showed you my Felix Cardigan, how I was adding the sparkle and the sequins. Unfortunately, I haven't got sequins, but this works really well. I'm going to show it to you. There is a lot of sparkle there. So this double held with either a silk mohair or a 4-ply, you're going to get that beautiful bit of bling. The colours that I've got, you can see them on my website because I only have the 2 colours. I can't see it there. I think the colours are just numbers. They're not, because this one's called something like beige cream gold. And this one's called stone gold, I think. But it's really fine. One of these, it's 25 grams, has 560 meters. So for most projects, you'd probably only need 2. And like I said, you can actually drop it and only put it in every second round to make them go further. But I will keep building on that range because who doesn't love a bit of sparkle? And the other thing was I have added to the baby yak some of the new colors. I'll just grab 2. I know those 2 are new colors, the pink and the blue in the yak, and I showed you the 2, the peach and the red in the cashmere. So I have added some brighter colors. And that yak, oh, it's just beautiful. That's what I'm doing that Adventitious in. I can't even describe the softness. It's just absolutely stunning. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, just quickly, my black project bags. There's still a couple of them on the website. That's the black bucket bag, and they're 20 or 25% off. There's still a couple of them left. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is quite exciting. So, a couple of months, well, it was probably only 1 month ago, my friend Elizabeth, we designed this, the name escapes me. We designed this jersey, this colourwork jersey, Scarlet Oak, and you met Elizabeth on my podcast. There are still some kits available in this. This is the blue, and then there's the autumn, which is the warmer, brownier colours. There's still a couple of kits. I sold out of the limited edition ones. I've worn this quite a few times. I love it. I feel really good in it, and I actually get lots of compliments when I wear it. So that says a lot. But Elizabeth, who designed that, so a few months ago we were together, and I said to her, I want a cardigan. I want a small cropped fitted cardigan, and I know the yarn that I want it knitted in. And she said, well, give me the yarn and I'll go away and design it. So we brainstormed a few ideas. And what I wanted was something a bit croppy that I could button up and wear over dresses or high-waist skirts, a bit of a summer, spring, transitional type, lightweight cardigan. But the yarn I wanted, and she took it away and did it in, was my Mondim. So Mondim is 100% Portuguese yarn. And so I sent her away with a few balls of this. And I'm going to show you what she come back with. And it's not out yet. It's at the, who is it that does the grading? The word escapes me. Tech editor. At the moment, it's completed. It's at the tech editor. And shortly there will be a call out for test knitters. And I can, if you want to contact me, if you want to be a test knitter, I will forward your details through to Elizabeth. But I'm going to insert a photograph of it for you. It doesn't have a name yet, or it may have, but Elizabeth hasn't shared that with me yet. I don't know the name. She has knitted it up in this colour, which is colour A583. And I'm going to insert the photo now so you can have a look at. And what I find, what I wanted with this Mondim, the word I used to describe it is crisp. It has beautiful detailed stitch definition. And she's done this beautiful lace work with, what's it called? Reverse ribbing. I think that's what it's called. but the lace work, it's just crisp and it pops and it's fresh. And the word that it keeps coming to mind and that I used to describe it to her was, this yarn is crisp. It is really sort of tightly spun, so it's not a fluffy yarn. 100% fine Portuguese yarn. This yarn, they actually call it their sock yarn. So it's a hard wearing yarn, but perfect for garments. And she said that knitting it up, it was beautiful to knit with, but she said after blocking, it was more beautiful. She said it really just bloomed and it softened, but it still had that beautiful crisp stitch definition. So that's the new pattern that we are going to launch, or Elizabeth's going to launch. We're doing a collaboration shortly. It will go out to test knitting, I think, in the next week or so. So if you're interested in doing a test knit for that, just email me, and you can do that through my website, and I'll pass the details on to Elizabeth if she's needing any more test knitters. So that's the colour she did that you saw yours in, that you saw the photo in. But I want to show you some of the other colours, because this is the colour I want. I was going to use this to knit the LYS by Andrea Mowry, and I've talked about that in podcasts gone by. And she used this yarn, and that is what inspired me to say to Elizabeth, I want a cardigan like that in this yarn, and this is the colour I want. And like I said, I can't normally wear yellows, but I think I can wear this, and that's the colour I want to do mine in. That one is called A580, and I'll just show you this colour I love as well, this orange or rust. It's more of an orange. It's a burnt orange. It's 582. This one's 586. That's stunning. I don't think I want anything pink, but it's almost like a dark watermelon is how I describe that. There is the natural undyed, which is just the white creamy, which I didn't get down. This is also a natural colour. It's just number 500. And this is really pretty. It's 572. It's like a light lime, light green. So there's quite a few colours to choose from. And I think for most sizes, you'd only need 3, because there's 400 meters on each one of these. So it goes a long way. And she actually said to me when she was knitting it, she just kept knitting and knitting and knitting. And she said, I couldn't believe how far a ball of that yarn went. And I think they're $30. So it'll be quite economical compared to a lot of, new projects or new designs. So I wanted to share that with you. You're the first to know. Actually, I think Elizabeth did put it on Facebook, and I did share that to our Unwind to Knit With Me Facebook group. So if you're on that, you would have seen it. So that's that. I think I'm pretty well done. I think I've covered everything. I hope the format is okay. I also hope the lighting and the audio is okay, because I've been having a bit of a play around with that. I've been doing, I mentioned last time, some self-learning tutorials to try to just upskill myself. It's just like we've got to keep upskilling ourselves, especially when it comes to computers. So I think that's all. I really hope that I can come to you in another 2 weeks, as I have. This one's been 2 weeks. It is my goal, but sometimes just life gets in the way. Now that my daughter's working full-time, I'll probably have more time on my hands, because she'd often say, Mum, let's go and do coffee, or come on, let's go shopping, or whatever, where she's working now. But she does work shift work, so there'll still probably be the odd day where she has time off during the week. But super proud. I'm super proud, and I'm super happy for her. And I'll let you know how my husband goes. Like I said, it's only one winner. It's last man standing. So I don't know. It's just seems stupid to me. It's running around and around in circles for 24 hours. I'll let you know how many laps he gets done. I think as long as he's got a bit of an injury, so as long as that doesn't flare up, I think he's hoping to do 24. He'd be really angry if he knew I actually put that out there and said that live. But anyway, who knows, he might only do 5 or 6. I'll let you know on episode 62. So thank you for sharing this time with me. Really appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing and supporting my channel. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Stay happy, stay healthy, and get lots of knitting done. And leave comments and contact me if you need to. Thank you. Bye.